Hope you are enjoying a great summer break. Welcome back to Merica F1. And what is the summer break news? It hasn't been really that much news going on. It's the same old talk. What's going on with Red Bull's second seat? What's happening with George Russell's contract? Will Ferrari get it together over the summer break? Who's in the Cadillac seat? Well, we know it's going to be Perez, but will it be Bottas and Perez? Let's talk about it here at
Yeah, Merica F1. Merica F1. It's a golden run. Merica F1.
Let's start off with my guy, Yuki. Now we're hearing more things out of the Red Bull camp. And it seems, and Pierre Gasly came out and kind of alluded to as much, said the same thing was going on when he was there. It seems that the second seat is basically being treated as the max, you go test this out seat during qualifying or not during first practice and second practice. You try these settings, we'll see if they work for in the race for max. We'll try these tires about going out with full load of fuel for this long for max. Then we'll put the mediums on with less fuel. We'll try it out for max. Then we'll do this, we'll do that for max. We'll put on these settings and we'll see how it works for max. Instead of what's best for the second seat driver, instead of what's best for Yuki Tsunoda. Pierre Gasly had alluded to as much. Checo, when he was there, was saying the same thing. Like, there's things I can't talk about, but my settings are not what I would choose and for practice. And I get in the car and it's one way, and then I get in the car for race day or qualifying, and it's totally not what we talked about or discussed or how I like it to be set up. And but what do you think about this second seat type where you have one driver who, well, let's be honest. Okay, Max, he's better than Pierre Gasly. He's better than Alex Albon. Danny Rick gave him quite a run, and he left when he still was under full Danny Rick powers because he still did pretty well at Renault. And he made a mistake when he went to McLaren. But if he saw the writing on the wall that Max was the golden boy and they were giving Max preferential treatment, and Danny Rick went for the payday at Renault. Okay, that makes sense. But remember, Danny Rick gave Max lots of problems. Danny Rick was good back then. Then Liam Lawson, not as good, obviously. And Yuki Tsunoda, he hasn't scored points for Red Bull yet. He's not doing very well at all. I mean, at all. But that was Christian Horner's Red Bull. That was Helmut Marko's Red Bull. Laurent Meeks, he knows Yuki. He's treating him different. Yeah, we're going to give him these parts that we've produced and they're on Max's car. Well, we're going to put them on Yuki's car too. No, we're not going to save those parts in case Max crashes or a part goes out and we have to put it on. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to give these parts to Yuki. Let's see what he can do. We all know that it will take a miracle for Yuki Tsunoda to stay in that Red Bull seat next year. So since it's going to take a miracle, who's going to get that seat? We know it's probably going to be Isaac Hadjar. And quite frankly, I'm just going to, we know I'm a huge Yuki fan, but quite frankly, Isaac's better. He's a better driver. He's right now. He's better. Isaac's better. So that seat will go to Isaac, rightfully so. Unless Yuki can pull off some miracle and all of a sudden he's, a tenth or 2/10 off Max every qualifying, and Max is third or fourth in qualifying, and Yuki's right behind him. And I don't see that dramatic of a shift happening. What happens to Yuki after this year? Is he a reserve Aston Martin driver? Can he get the Cadillac seat? Probably not. It's most likely going to Perez and Bottas. Where does Yuki go? Could he go to Alpine? Alpine's going to have a seat. I think Yuki deserves to be in Formula One. But is it going to be just like Bottas? Is he taking a year off and whatever? I mean, I can't, even though the Aston Martin team is going to be the Honda team, I can't see them passing up on Charles Leclerc if things don't work out at Ferrari, or Max if he wants to go there. I can't see, or even George if Max takes the Mercedes seat in 27 and then George doesn't have a seat. Well, George is a good driver. They take George. They take George in a second. So I can't really see where does Yuki go? What happens to the little Yuki bear? He might be done after this year. And then he'll have to go and take a reserve seat and maybe sit out a year and see how it shakes out. But what happens? Here's my thing, and this is what I think should happen. I think Yuki should go back to Racing Bulls. Let me lay it out for you. Now, Arvid Lindblad, he's supposedly he's in the junior program for Red Bull, and he's supposed to get the Racing Bull seat next year. But when you go look at the F2 standings, he's behind his own teammate. Pepe Martin has 97 points, and Lindblad only has 92 points. He's won one race. He's won one sprint race. He's not dominant. He's like 7th in the championship. So he's not dominating. He's not going to be the F2 champion. He's F2 champion right now. The leader has like 152 points. He has 92. So he's not winning the F2 championship. He's not even second or third. So maybe he needs another year of F2 before you promote him. And that's the thing about Red Bull. They've been promoting guys too fast. And they get rid of guys too fast. Like Alex Albon, if you go back in time, he could have won a couple races and the Hamilton had knocked, mistakenly hit him a couple times, twice actually. I think one time was probably a racing incident. The other time was definitely like all Hamilton's fault, and he said he was sorry. In that race, Albon was going to win. And if it wasn't for that, who knows what would have happened to Alex's career? He could still be at Red Bull if he'd had a couple wins under his belt. But I thought they got rid of him too soon. But the other hand is they might have brought him up and Pierre Gasly up too early, just like they did with Liam Lawson. So that might be another reason why Christian is gone, because they didn't. But that really is Helmut Marko's deal. That he's in charge of those type of things. They brought guys up too early. Maybe they gave him the heave-ho too soon. I think Lindblad needs another year in Formula 2. Then you could bring Yuki Bear back to Racing Bulls where he feels comfortable, where the people know him. And then you can put him up against Liam Lawson, who's having, Liam Lawson's coming back. He's had, two races in a row. He beat Isaac Hadjar, and he scored in the points 2 races in a row, and he's actually looking pretty decent. Maybe put Yuki Bear back there. That's what I think. But if he doesn't go back, which most likely they won't put him back, he'll be a reserve driver because there's no seat for him. Where's he going to go? Now, let's move on to where is George Russell's contract? What is Total Wolf doing to my guy George Russell? What is he doing to gorgeous George Russell? I mean, gorgeous George, in my opinion, is being disrespected. He's having a pretty decent season. The Mercedes car is not that great. He's won a race this year. Mr. Saturday, he's usually really good in qualifying. He's going to get the most out of that car. Why you disrespect George and get gorgeous George and give him a 1-1? Of course he doesn't want a 1-1. But we all know that that Total Wolf wants Max. He wants him. Come to me, Max. Come to me. But Max doesn't fit at Mercedes. Even if they say they come out and have the fastest car next year, they're corporate. Max doesn't fit that corporate mold. That's why he works so well at Red Bull. Because they're the ones that are the rebels, right? They're the rebel team. And you don't have to be all corporate at Red Bull. But at Mercedes, yeah, you got to be corporate. You got to go to those meetings. You got to go to the car shows and shake hands with all the guys who bought the big Mercedes AMG cars and sell cars and make, really bad commercials. And that's what you got to do. That's it. You got to go shake hands and kiss babies. You're a corporate entity at Mercedes. That's why Max could go to Aston, right? If Aston's car is the best. We don't know. We don't know who's the best car in 26. And that's why it's best for him to stay at Red Bull for one more year and see. So that's why they're not giving George a multi-year contract. Well, every other day we're going to announce George's contract. We're going to announce George's contract. But they never do. He's the only guy who's in the top who doesn't have a contract for next year. That's, in my opinion, that's huge disrespect to Gorgeous George. He deserves a Mercedes contract. And not a 1-on-1. He'll probably end up getting like a 2-1. He'll probably end up getting, I surmise they would give him a contract for 26 and then 27. But then if they give him too long a contract, what does that say for Kimi? How can they go after? So this is here. Let's speculate. You give George a 3-year contract, a 2-1. Kimi Antonelli, you give him a 1-1. And then when your car, if it is one of the best or the best in 26, then you can go after Max. And then we can have what every fan wants. George versus Max. And some equal cars, hopefully. And let's see what Max can do against George. Max will finally have a teammate that's good in qualifying, smart, good in the race. So let's see that. That's must-see TV because the two are oil and water. They don't get along. They don't like each other. So that's what I want. That's what you want. We all want that. And if you don't want that, then what kind of Formula One fan are you? We want the drama. We want the inner team battle. We want the friction. And then we want to see it come out on the race. We want to see it. I want to see it. You want to see it. So, there's your prediction. George Russell will get a 2-1 contract. Then Kimi, according to how he does the rest of the season and then next year, say he needs a little bit more seasoning, they'll probably ship him to Williams, and then Carlos Sainz could go to wherever seat. Like when Max leaves, Carlos Sainz could go to Red Bull or something like that. That's how it'll work out. That's my prediction. What? You don't hear any news about Franco, Colapinto, and Alpine. We all know they're already saying, next year that seat's up. Now, Valtteri Bottas, he had that little thing with Cadillac. We already know Perez. They're going to announce Perez at Monza. Watch. They're going to announce he's already, that's a done deal. Perez is already a done deal. If I'm Cadillac, I'm going definitely with Valtteri and Perez. You want two veterans to be able to help you, not design the car, but help give you good feedback. If you put a rookie in there, or if you put someone new to Formula One, like you get one of these guys from IndyCar and you put them, what kind of feedback are they giving you? You want two veterans in the car, because they'll score. If you even can score a point, they're going to do it for you. They're going to give you the best feedback. They're going to be the best team for a young team to grow. And then you keep them for a couple years. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, then you bring in, a young driver. Or you have the young driver as the reserve driver. But you don't have Checo with, Palou or one of these guys from IndyCar or some F2 rookie or some F2 guy who's been a reserve driver for 3, 4 years. You just don't, that just doesn't, no. No, you don't do it. It doesn't make good business sense. And it also doesn't make good sense in the progression of your car. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Now, what the heck? We're hearing all these things about what's going on at Lewis Hamilton. Now let's recap. They at Ferrari are still harboring, and I'm talking about the people who work at Ferrari. I'm talking about the mechanics. I'm talking about the engineers. I'm talking about the people, the secretary, the day-to-day people who work at Ferrari. They're still mad that Carlos Sainz is gone. A lot of them. They love Carlos. Carlos was Ferrari. Him and Charles made a good pairing because they're the ones that stayed late. They're the ones that signed all the autographs. They'll stay late after the race. They'll stay after a meeting when people are lined up at Maranello and sign. There's a story that Charles was going into a meeting at Maranello and there's a bunch of fans waiting outside. Charles, 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 waiting for autographs. And he said, I'm going into a meeting, but when I come out, I'll sign autographs. So he went into the meeting. Meeting lasts an hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it lasts. And he came out and he stayed for another hour signing autographs. Now, let's be honest, Lewis, he ain't doing that. Lewis does not do that. He's coming in, he's doing what he has to do, and he's leaving. He's not staying there to sign autographs. He just doesn't do that. He just doesn't. I think maybe he should. And the only reason I say he should do something like that and maybe have a change of heart in that era is because these are the last 2-3 years of his career in Formula One. Because I don't see him after this contract going to like a Williams or an Alpine or a Cadillac or, Audi or something like that. And, just like Fernando, just drifting at the back of the pack for a couple of years. I don't see that happening now with Lewis. Just to stay in Formula One, I don't think that'll happen. I mean, I know that won't happen. I mean, this is it for him. After Ferrari, he's probably gone. So why not soak it up, man? I mean, why not take the time to just sit there and soak it in and sign all these autographs? I know he's kind of an introvert. He doesn't really, he doesn't like that type of thing, but why not? And another thing, I thought him and Charles were like supposed to be good friends. I thought I was gonna hear like some music come out by them, because Charles plays music and Lewis likes music and Lewis plays music. I thought they were gonna, get some pairing of music going on, and they both got dogs. I thought we'd see like them on boats and yachts like we used to see with Valtteri and them hanging out. And we don't see that. I see Charles still after races hanging out with Carlos Sainz. Now, let's be honest, Carlos Sainz is not coming back to Ferrari. I know all the Tifosi want that. And I know a lot of people at Ferrari want that. But it's not going to happen. That's not happening. And the resentment that a lot of the mechanics and a lot of the people at Ferrari have shouldn't go toward Lewis. It's John Elkington's fault. It's his fault. He's the one who, 48 hours before Carlos was signing the contract, pivoted and said Lewis is coming to the team and made Fred go out and be the hatchet man. That's why Carlos got the Ferrari. That's why Carlos Sr. got to drive the Ferrari. That was all Fred. So why take your disdain for John Elkington, who's the CEO, and put it on Lewis? It's not Lewis's fault. Don't blame Lewis because Carlos is not there. Don't. That's like saying your favorite midfielder got traded to another team and some other free agent is coming in. Well, it's not the player's fault. It's always ownership's fault. It's ownership. So don't blame the player. Don't blame Lewis. Now, let's shift. The drivers of Formula One have to do something about their contracts. They have to do something about the way they can't talk to other teams. They have to do something about, if I don't have a contract for next year, then my agent and me, I should be able to talk to all the other teams to get me a deal, or at least have a deal on the table where the team I'm at either matches that deal or signs me, or sayonara, man. Why do the teams have all this power, especially in the contract process? Not only with the drivers, but with the engineers and with the employees. Why do you have to take gardening leave and all these things like that? Take another sport. Let's take baseball. Let's take football. Let's take basketball. When you fire the general manager, and if you're still paying them, then they sit out. But guess what? They can go and sign with another team. You don't have to pay them anymore because they're getting paid from that other team. But they don't have to sit out gardening leave. They don't have to sit around for a year before they work for the other team. And when you look at some of the salaries of the day-to-day operational people at Formula One teams, where are their raises? Formula One went from a sport making, 800 million or 900 million to, it's in the billions. Teams valuations are billions and billions of dollars right now. Look at that F1 movie. It's Brad Pitt's biggest movie he's ever had. It's made like $500 million. Will probably end up making $600-700 billion. They'll have a sequel. Of course, Lewis will help produce it. But Formula One is booming. Pay these people that work there more money. Where is their union? Do they have a union? The drivers have a union. Pay the people that work there every day more money. They deserve it. They deserve it. You're making a cash cow. So everybody who's working in Formula One should be seeing raises. Everybody, from the drivers to the engineers to the secretaries to the travel person to the PR person to the person that does the Instagram. Everybody. Because you all are making a killing. I'm going to leave you with this. They're talking about more sprint races. More sprint races. Now, this year we have 6. Or we could have 8. Now they want 10 or 12. What do you think about that? What do you think about? Here's my question. I'm going to leave you with these 2 questions and you can answer them in the comments. 1. Do you like sprint races? Do you want more sprint races? Now, I can only tell you personally, when you're at the race, sprint races are good because I don't go to practice. When I go to the race, practice is boring, man. It really is. Like, it's boring. Practice 1, practice 2, I could care less. Practice, I don't want to see practice. It's good to have another race when you're there in person. It's good. I like that. But on television, I mean, you can take it, you can leave it. I mean, on television, I just watch qualifying and I watch the race. I'll watch the sprint race, I guess, sometimes, but is it that interesting? It doesn't make a big difference, but on TV, not really. But in person, it does. What do you think? The other thing, when you have a number 1 driver and a number 2 driver, should the number 1 driver get everything? And if the number 1 driver gets everything, like the number 2 driver's doing all the testing and practice 1 and practice 2 on different settings for the number 1 driver so he can tweak and go to that, is your number 1 driver that good if you have to do all that? Yeah, you earned it. You're the number 1 driver. But if 2 drivers aren't equal going into the race, and then whoever qualifies better gets obviously the better strategy and all that. But going into qualifying, if both drivers don't have the same thing, then is your number 1 driver really that good? And as a number 1 driver, why are you asking for all these things? Shouldn't you want competition? I don't know. It makes the team better, right? Competition makes the team better. And you score more points in the constructors if you have 2 equally good drivers. Well, of course, one can be better than the other. You're not going to find 2 guys that are equally matched all the time, like Oscar and Lando. They're pretty equally matched, right? But you're not going to find that because you don't have that skill level amongst all the drivers. You don't have 20 drivers that have the skill levels that are, equal. One's going to be good in qualifying. One will probably be better in the race. You're not going to have a guy that's good in qualifying and good in the race and good with people. Those are champions, right? The champions do those things. Not the guy who hasn't won a race yet in his whole career, or the guy who's winning a couple races here and there, right? Only the champions have all the package. So what do you think about that? What do you think about this number 1 driver, number 2 driver? We don't have this in any of the other sports where, you don't have, like go to NASCAR, IndyCar, in NASCAR, IndyCar, they got 3, 4 guys on the team. Yeah, you'll have a team leader, but everybody's trying to win. So what do you think about that? That's it for the summer break. The next episode, we're going to do a special episode on the professor. Now, you know who the professor is, and we do this series on Formula One champions, and we'll be doing that. Either I'm going to get that in the can later on this week. Today is Tuesday. I'm going to go to the Monterey Car Week, so we'll probably have to do that either tonight to get it in the can for Wednesday or Thursday. Oh, because I'm going to go to Monterey Car Week. Yes, I'm going. I can't wait. So on that note, as always, keep on racing, everybody.